I know, I'm falling in love with my wife, and I have no idea what to do about it. 4 years ago, I lost my wife, my partner of 8 years. She passed away after giving birth to our second son. It was rare, a freak medical complication. I was deployed at the time, thousands of miles away, completely unaware that my world was about to shatter. By the time I made it home, I was in pieces. Nothing felt right anymore, and I truly believed I would never feel happy again. I had 2 little boys who needed me, 6 and 4 now, but back then I was barely holding it together. They were wonderful, but it was overwhelming. That is when Cass came into the picture. She was the younger sister of one of my Marine buddies. She had known my wife, but they were not especially close. She needed a place to stay, and I needed help, so she moved in. Cass was just 20 years old then and drowning in debt, thanks to her abusive ex-boyfriend. She had finally left him 3 months before, but he had left her life in ruins. Not long after she moved in, she asked me for a loan to see a doctor. Her hand would not stop shaking, and she had no health insurance. I did not think twice about it. I helped her out. She was the glue holding my family together, doing everything from cooking to cleaning, all while taking care of my kids. Eventually, we found out her condition was likely caused by the years of abuse she had endured. At the time, it seemed like a straightforward decision. I had good insurance, and she needed it. I did not think I would ever love again, and she had no interest in being with anyone. So we got married. No romance, no expectations, just an agreement. She promised never to rely on me financially beyond the health care, and we signed a prenuptial agreement to keep everything clean. Of course, I know this was not exactly legal, but we were 2 broken people just trying to survive. 3 years have passed since then, and somehow life has been good, better than I ever imagined it could be. Cass has been incredible. She keeps the house spotless, has dinner ready every night when I come home, and works night shifts as a baker. She is close to paying off her debt, and her health has improved dramatically with the care she has received. When it comes to my boys, she is nothing short of a saint. She shows them pictures of their mother, tells them stories about her, and takes them on little adventures. She even taught them how to read. My 6-year-old just finished kindergarten, but my 4-year-old, that kid is going to be ahead of his class next year. Sometimes my youngest calls her mommy, but every time, she gently corrects him, tells him her name is Cass, and reminds him that mommy is the angel in the picture above the fireplace. Once her debt is fully paid off and the kids are both in school, she plans to enroll in a nursing program. Our relationship has remained platonic, but there is a deep connection between us. I have lost count of the number of times I have broken down in her arms, and she has done the same with me. A couple of years ago, I lost my temper over something ridiculous. She had taken the boys to see Santa without me. I yelled. She flinched, and it hit me just how much her past still haunts her. I felt like the worst person alive. We talked it out, and I even offered to pay for therapy if she wanted it. She refused. That was 2 years ago, and we have had minor disagreements since then, but nothing we could not work through. She knows me better than I know myself sometimes. When I am upset, she calms me in a way I cannot even explain. The real issue, the one that has been messing with my head, is that I think I am in love with her. I notice everything about her now. The way she smells, the way her lips curl when she laughs, the way her eyes light up when she looks at me, the way my kids adore her. She is beautiful, hardworking, and one of the strongest people I have ever known. A few nights ago, after we put the kids to bed, I almost kissed her. Her hugs have been lasting a little longer. The other day, she was lying in my bed. She was washing her sheets, and I had this overwhelming urge to climb in next to her. Not for anything physical, just to hold her, to kiss her, to be with her. I do not know how to bring this up. It has been 4 years since my wife passed. For the longest time, I believed no one could ever replace her. There is a line from a Song of Ice and Fire that has always stuck with me. When the sun has set, no candle can replace it. That is how I felt for so long. But now, there are days when Cass is all I think about, and my late wife does not even cross my mind. And I feel guilty as hell about it. I still miss her, but I never thought I would be capable of moving forward. The fact that I am even considering it makes me feel like I am betraying her. But at the same time, I want Cass. Not just physically. I want her in every way. I want to love her the way a husband should love his wife. And I have no idea how to approach this. I thought about asking her to dinner, just the two of us. Maybe bring it up then. But what if she shuts me down? How do I even know if she feels the same way? For what it is worth, something happened the other day. She was having a rough time with the kids. They were restless and being difficult. So I picked up some of her favorite flowers on my way home. When I handed them to her, she practically glowed. She threw her arms around me, held on for a little longer than usual, and, out of nowhere, gave me a quick kiss on the lips. I was stunned. She went back to finishing dinner like nothing had happened, humming to herself as she put the flowers in a vase. So what does that mean? Edit while I did it. It has been an hour since I posted, and you all convinced me. I called her favorite fancy restaurant and made a reservation. Her brother agreed to babysit and even offered to let me crash at his place tonight if things get awkward. And, get this, she paid off her debt this morning. Just send me a picture of the check. Next week is our 3-year wedding anniversary. I'm going to tell her over dessert. I am nervous as hell. I will update you all soon. Update 1. I told my wife I love her. May 30th, 2013. It went perfectly. Just got home. I will update tomorrow. Right now, I have a wife to go kiss. Update 2. I just spent the night holding and kissing my wife. This might be the sweetest thing I have ever been part of, and honestly, I still cannot believe it happened. May 30th, 2013. Last night was chaos. It all started when my younger son decided to eat what he called a giant fuzzy spider. Cass panicked and insisted we take him to the hospital. I checked on him. He was completely fine. Joe, her brother, stepped in and told her he would keep an eye on the kid so she could go out and enjoy herself for once. She did not look thrilled about the idea at all. I, on the other hand, was a nervous wreck. We got to the restaurant earlier than expected, but thankfully, they had a table open. Cass ordered a glass of wine, which was a little surprising since she does not drink often. At least, not since breaking up with her ex. But I figure it made sense. It was a night to celebrate. The conversation was light, but it felt a little forced. I knew I had to bring it up soon. There was no point in dragging it out. So, before the food even arrived, I took a deep breath and told her I had something important to say. She did not look surprised. She set down her glass and said, "I already know." That was the moment my heart nearly stopped. Joe had told her. I immediately started apologizing. This was not how I wanted her to find out. I had planned the night so carefully, and now it felt like everything was falling apart. She shook her head, looking almost amused, and told me it was fine. She just wanted me to be happy. I deserved it. I tried to explain myself, stumbling over my words. I told her I never wanted to pressure her or make her uncomfortable. I just needed to be honest about how I felt. She gave me this unreadable look and then, in the calmest voice, said, "This is really up to you. Do what makes you happy." Then she dropped another bomb on me. She told me she had been planning to move out once her program ended, that she would stay out of my way until then. Something was off. I asked her straight up, "What exactly did Joe tell you?" Turns out, he had completely set me up. She thought I had taken her to dinner to tell her I had feelings for another woman and wanted to ask for her permission before asking that woman out. That is when I realized Joe had given me the perfect opportunity for the smoothest line I will probably ever say in my life. The food arrived, shrimp and pesto gnocchi for me, crab legs for her. For those of you who like the details, I took a second to gather myself, then told her, "Yeah, I have feelings for someone, but I do not want it to ruin what we have." She nodded, saying it would not change anything. She still loved the boys, still planned to take care of them. Then she asked, "So why are you not asking her out?" I looked her in the eyes and said, "Because I'm already on a date with her." It took her a second to process what I had just said. Then she gave me that look, the one she gives the boys when they say something completely ridiculous, like I have a girlfriend named Tammy, or I'm going to drive to the store by myself. She turned away, smiled, shook her head, and asked, "Really?" I nodded. I told her I loved her more than anyone else in the world, other than my sons, that I loved the family we had built, and that I had fallen completely in love with her. She took a slow sip of her wine, rolled her eyes, and said, "About damn time, Alex." I did not know what came over me, but I leaned across the table and kissed her. In the process, I knocked over her wine. Neither of us cared. We just sat there, kissing like a couple of teenagers until she pulled away and said, "You better sit back down before my crab legs get cold." I was grinning like an idiot. After dinner, we got ice cream, wandered around, and kissed some more before heading home. Joe was waiting on the couch, watching some terrible reality dating show, smirking like he had planned the whole thing. Cass stormed in, pointed at him, and shouted, "You ruined everything. Now I have to move in with Mom." He looked stunned. We let him suffer for about 5 seconds before cracking up. Joe shook my hand, told me the boys were asleep, and headed out. As soon as the door shut, I picked Cass up, kissed her, and carried her to my room. That night, we did not do anything but make out like high schoolers and hold each other for hours. She is not ready for anything more yet, but she made sure to emphasize yet. And that is perfectly fine with me. At one point, my youngest son came into the room, claiming his puppy was scared of the dark. So of course we let them both in. This morning, I woke up early, made breakfast for everyone, and kissed my wife before heading out the door. And now, I'm about to ask my boss for the afternoon off so I can go home and spend more time with her. I know I have not responded to everyone, but I just want to say thank you. For the first time in a long time, I am truly happy. Update 3. Quick update. Cass and I are doing great. May 31st, 2013. Some of you have been asking for proof, but honestly, I have no idea how to provide that. I lost the receipt from dinner. I paid in cash, and for obvious reasons, I'm not posting pictures. Let us be real. I've spent years technically defrauding the government with this marriage. Not exactly something I want to advertise too much, but I promise you, everything I've told you is real. And for those of you talking about us having a second wedding ceremony, guys, we just had our first kiss 2 nights ago. Calm down. Oh, and to whoever gave me gold, thank you. I spent about $25 last night buying Joe a round of beers, but next time, save your money and do something better with it. Take a veteran to lunch. Learn CPR. Donate to a good cause. But really, thank you. I will update again eventually, but I cannot promise it will be soon. I have a lot going on. Life is finally moving forward. And for once, I am not looking back. Update 4. I thought everything was perfect. Then last night happened. June 25th, 2013. For those of you who might not know the backstory, my first wife passed away 4 years ago while I was deployed. It shattered my world. I came back home lost, tried to raise 2 little boys on my own. That is when Cass, my Marine buddy's younger sister, stepped in. She had known my wife, but they were not especially close. She needed a place to stay. I needed help. At first, it was just that, an arrangement. She took care of the boys and the house, and in return, I made sure she had a roof over her head and medical care. She had been through hell, dealing with an abusive ex who left her deep in debt, with serious health issues she could not afford to treat. Marrying her for the insurance made sense at the time. Neither of us expected it to be anything more than a practical decision. But somehow we built a life together. At some point, I fell in love with her. I never thought I would be able to love again, but I did. And a few weeks ago, I finally told her. Now, I am dating my wife. I thought everything was going great. Then last night happened. It had been a long day. I got home, and right away, I could tell something was off. The house smelled like burnt food. Cass had never been the kind of person to mess up dinner. And there she was, sitting at the kitchen table with a half-empty glass of wine in front of her. Now, Cass barely drinks. 1 or 2 on a special occasion, sure, but never like this. I sat down across from her and asked, "What is wrong?" She stared at her wine for a moment before finally saying, "He got out." I had no idea what she meant. Then she looked at me and said, "My ex. He got parole last week." I was stunned. I always assumed he had been locked up for what he did to her, that he was serving time because of the way he had hurt her. Turns out I was wrong. He had been in prison for something completely unrelated, and now he was out. Cass never pressed charges against him back then. She was terrified, and honestly, I cannot blame her. She thought he would be locked up for at least a decade, so she convinced herself she did not have to worry. But now that safety net was gone, she kept saying she should have gone to the police, that maybe she could have stopped him from getting out. She was so caught up in guilt and fear that she was completely shutting down. I do not know how to fix this. Legally, we cannot do anything unless he contacts her or shows up. My lawyer says a restraining order should be easy enough to get, and I will make sure we do that. But I cannot shake this sick feeling in my gut. I do not know how to make her feel safe. She will be safe because I will make sure of it. I will not let him anywhere near her. I have already taken off work, and even when I go back, I will have my friend stopping by to check in. But she does not believe it yet. I just need to figure out how to get through to her. I doubt this piece of garbage will show his face, but if he does, I know exactly what I will do. Update 5. 1 year later, life has changed. September 3rd, 2014. Hey, Hajichi. I know it has been a while. Life has been busy, and honestly, I have not had much time to sit down and type all this out. But last night, I could not sleep, and for some reason, I found myself thinking about this place. I logged back in, and I saw all the messages. People still asking for updates, still wanting to know how things turned out. So here it is. Cass and I are doing great, but it was not easy. Her ex did try to contact her. I remember the night like it just happened. The doorbell rang. Our oldest son answered before either of us could stop him. And there he was. Cass did not panic. She did not hide. She squared her shoulders, told the boys to go upstairs, and walked right up to the door. I was standing behind her, ready to throw this guy off my porch. But she handled it. He stood there, practically begging for forgiveness, telling her he had changed, asking for another chance. She told him no. No hesitation. No fear in her voice. She told him to leave. And he did. He tried to reach out a couple more times, but by then, we had a restraining order in place. Last I heard, he moved upstate to live with his father. That chapter is over. In the middle of all that mess, Joe, Cass's brother, was in a bad car accident and had to move in with us for a while. It was stressful, but we got through it together. And then, about 7 or 8 months ago, Cass and I finally took that last step. I guess you could say we finally consummated our marriage. The boys are thriving. They are happy. And Cass, she is doing great. She got a job she loves, even though I think she works way too much overtime. And here is the biggest news of all. We are having a baby, our first child together. She is due in February, and we could not be more excited. Life is good. I will be around for a little while if anyone has questions. Final update. It is a girl. April 29th, 2015. Well, technically, she was born early March, but I did not want to title this update. It was a girl. Sorry for not updating sooner. Things have been crazy. Cass had a rough pregnancy, and she has officially put her foot down. No more kids. 3 is enough. But everything turned out fine. Our little girl, theirs, was born healthy, weighing 9 pounds and measuring 21 inches. She is perfect. She barely ever cries, and she is ridiculously photogenic. I swear, this kid is already camera ready at 1 month old. The boys are completely obsessed with her. Our youngest son is convinced he is her personal protector, though his version of helping is not always as helpful as he thinks. Joe is also doing well. His back still bothers him, sometimes from the accident, but he is dating someone, a girl who actually went to my high school a couple of years below me. He seems happy, and that is all that matters. Aside from the whole becoming a dad again thing, not much else to report. Right now, I am home with the baby while Cass is out running errands. Life has settled into something I never thought I would have again. Something happy, something full. And for the first time in years, I am not looking back. I'm exactly where I want to be.